Good morning, everyone. Colonel Linus, Sergeant Major Wells, Chief Blanchard, Mr. Cheney, distinguished guests, friends, colleagues, and so importantly to the family of Sergeant Major Porter, welcome. So facilities in the Defense Department are not arbitrarily named, as we all know. There's a deliberate screening process, and approval for designation events such as these require a full chain of command endorsement with a final approval from the service chief, in our case, the Commandant of the Marine Corps. Since 2015, Marine Corps Base Hawaii has committed to doing just that, and we are honored that our collective goal has been realized and now officially endorsed. With that in mind, let's begin this redesignation of Sergeant Major Porter Field and facility with an invocation. Sir, if I may introduce the Command Chaplain, Chaplain Ridley.
Let us pray. We bless your holy name today and every day, O God, for all of your servants who, having finished their course, now rest from their labors. Nevertheless, today we bless your name for Sergeant Major Robert Frederick Porter, a Marine who served our country during 6 wars. O God, grant us the courage to follow Sergeant Major Porter's example of steadfastness and faithfulness to our country. This celebration is about more than honoring a good Marine and ensuring his legacy lives into eternity. It's about sharing his legacy and character with today's warrior and future Marines. May Sergeant Major Porter's life inspire these young men and women to befriend and care for and support each other while on active duty and after they completed their time in the Corps. Sergeant Major Porter's spirit of hospitality allowed him to assist Marines, sailors, and their families as they transition to and from this island during the next 29 years of his life. Sergeant Major Porter's spirit of hospitality also endeared him to his family, friends, the Hawaii community. Today's rededication of Pop Warner Field to Sergeant Major Porter Field will seal his memory and legacy forever, and will become a memorial for his family and friends to visit as they please. Go now in love as those called to do his work, and may God's peace, favor, and mercy bless you always. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, for remarks and for the official designation, it's our privilege to introduce the Commanding Officer of Marine Corps Base Hawaii, Colonel Linus.
Okay, so when people write remarks to me and I don't read them, they get nervous. All right. So, hey, I'm moved today, and I spent some time just back here talking to people. That's going to change my remarks. Okay. So, if you had the privilege to work on the space and know Sergeant Major Porter and have him pour who he was on you, raise your hand. Okay, so I heard, incredible, right, that you're here. Incredible. It's a testament to Sergeant Major Porter. I heard some stories, some quick ones, about his compassion and how he found people jobs and would get dressed up for Marine Corps balls and visit everyone. So, I'm going to start with that as my preamble, right? That I am just absolutely honored to rededicate this field permanently as Sergeant Major Porter Field. All right, I don't do podiums too much, but I will today because there's a story I want to tell, and I want to get exactly right. Okay. Now, of course, we are absolutely blessed to have the Porter family here. Commander David Porter, good to see you, sir. And I was saying you look sharp in your whites. So you told me you had a tough Marine father that got you up and ran you every Saturday morning. So you look sharp, sir. Welcome. Susan, welcome to you. Thank you for your commitment to the Porter family. Namesake, Robert Jr., right? The grandson of Sergeant Major Porter. Real pleasure to have you here. And I know that you being the namesake of your grandfather is a big deal. It's a big deal to have your name and your grandfather's name here on this field. Ashley Gooden. Eikomo mai, that means welcome. Okay, welcome to Marine Corps Base Hawaii. We're glad you're here. All right, everyone, thank you for taking time. Thank you for taking time. These are the moments we're going to remember. I know we work hard. I can see all kinds of MCCS team members there. Golf. Let's see, people that work hard at grounds and maintenance. But the moments we take to dedicate ourselves to great people like Sergeant Major Porter, I really believe that's what we're going to remember about this great experience of working on Marine Corps Base Hawaii. Okay, this track and field facility began with a 2011 military construction project and was completed and opened in 2014. It is with a tremendous amount of pride and privilege that we dedicate it in honor of Sergeant Major Robert F. Porter, a Marine and a friend of Marine Corps Base Hawaii, whose career and subsequent service to this installation traversed 6 wars and almost 7 decades. Sergeant Major Porter enlisted in December 1942 and spent his junior enlisted and NCO years, namely on the East Coast, with a tour in China that earned him a China Service Medal. For those of you that are old, the studying Marine Corps history, it is a big deal to be a China Marine, a really big deal. Hopefully, Sergeant Major Porter told you stories of that time and how much pride that he had in himself in the Marine Corps, that he served in China and had a China Service Medal. It wasn't until he became a staff non-commissioned officer that he got his first glimpse of Hawaii, initially posted at Marine Corps Air Station, wait for it, Eva, okay, in 1947. Right? So that's when his love affair and his family's history started in Hawaii. During the Vietnam War, Sergeant Major Porter was assigned to our largest tenant command, the 3rd Marine Regiment, a first sergeant at this point in his career. He earned a Navy Commendation Medal with Combat V. Then he continued to serve the Corps in units ranging from Okinawa to New Hampshire. I read a little bit of Sergeant Major Porter's bio. The comments from his commanding officer during combat was, of course, he was a highly effective leader, but with that, he always was compassionate and congenial. Hey, those of us that have been in those conditions, it is hard to have that said about you in combat, that you're congenial, right? That's tough. So again, this is a gentleman that was effective at being a Marine leader, but also loved people. In his final 3 years of active duty, he was appointed as the 1st Marine Corps Air Station Kaneohe Base Sergeant Major. So back then, that would be called Marine Corps Base Hawaii. So he was this base's 1st Sergeant Major. In 1973, after 30 years of service, he retired from the Marine Corps. I was 3 years old in 1973. All right. Fewer than 8 months after his retirement, Sergeant Major Porter began managing the temporary lodging facility where he diligently supported transitioning Marine sailors and families for the next 29 years. So, having moved here and knowing what the TLF does, okay, those are some emotional days in that TLF. So I imagine Sergeant Major Porter, with his leadership and compassion, helping families come here, okay, and start out successfully. So I guess if I have a regret, Sergeant Major Porter wasn't here when I checked into the TLF, all right? So again, nothing but service to Sergeant Major Porter. To paraphrase from his biography, after serving at the TLF, he turned over lodging operations in 2002 and became what was euphemistically called an operations specialist. His real job was to be an ambassador, an elder, a patriarch, to be the conscience of Marine Corps Base Hawaii, lending perspective and wisdom to many ensuing commanders. So much of the stories I heard right before I've come to this podium is exactly that. That is a man that moved to this base with a heart of service and desire for others, making a difference. So, operations specialists, I think I understand what that means, okay? But it's really about keeping a good person here and making sure that he can continue to influence our lives in the best way. Sergeant Major Porter passed on July 28, 2013, earning his proud legacy. To quote the original request citation that initiated this whole evolution, Sergeant Major Porter served the Marine Corps for over 65 years with over 30 years of active service. and 35 years supporting Marines while working for Marine Corps Community Services at Marine Corps Base Hawaii. Sergeant Major Porter's service record is exemplary and includes service in World War II, Korea, and two tours in Vietnam. He was also the first Sergeant Major of Marine Corps Air Station Kaneohe, Hawaii, the former designation of Marine Corps Base Hawaii. So, that is the story. I think it's, what I read is a skeleton of a rich story that many of you know personally. And, I'd ask that you make sure you tell that story to people on the base. Because Sergeant Major Porter was that great of a man and a Marine and that great of a friend of the base. So please keep telling that story. I think you know that I'm on my own journey of learning about this great culture in Hawaii, but I will say that a word that applies to Sergeant Major Porter's service here and the stories is that his time here was pono, no doubt. No doubt. So again, thank you. I'm honored to do this. Welcome to the Porter family, and we are very proud to dedicate this field Sergeant Major Robert F. Porter Field. Thank you.
Well, it's official. Thank you, sir, sincerely for your remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time I would like to introduce Commander Porter, son of Sergeant Major David Porter, for final remarks.
Like the Colonel, I need notes for my speech. This is certainly overwhelming. To see the people that my dad worked with and served with. I know he loved the Marine Corps, and it's overwhelming. Again, to the Marines, the civilians and their families, who my dad had the privilege of working with for 65 years, it's an honor to be with you here today with cards that'll blow away. So today, Sergeant Major Robert F. Porter is being honored for 65 years of loyal service to the Marine Corps. There is no doubt that he would be justly proud of this recognition, but he would be the first to tell you that his success rests in large part on the men and women, the Marines, that he served with. He'd be the first to recognize them for that. He lived by the words, "Your people are your most important assets." And whatever he did, people came first. He took great pride in helping Marines and their families. He cared about people and would do anything for anybody at any time. In the few short days that we have been here on the island, we've had the opportunity to meet with and speak with some of the people that he had the privilege of working with, and it's no wonder that he enjoyed what he did so much. Those of you who served and worked with my dad know how much he loved the Marine Corps and the pure joy he derived from helping Marines and their families. From the bottom of my heart, my family and I thank you for the honor being bestowed on Sergeant Major Robert F. Porter, United States Marine Corps. Thank you.
Sir and Mr. Porter, Commander Porter, if I may ask, just for the group, The rendering that you see in front of you, the image that you see in front of you, is a rendering of the plaque that will stand on this pedestal henceforth as we have officially designated this field. So this is our gift to the Porter family for your attendance and appreciation and homage to your father, sir. So thank you kindly. With this, we conclude our ceremony and invite everyone to join us afterwards to meet and greet with the Porter family. Thank you, sir.